Welcome to Digimon.
Hello and welcome to Digimon, and back with a deck profile on a Monday, the first deck profile Monday since the Christmas New Year break. So all back to normal with our general upload schedules now, and no specials either. So we're fully back to our normal schedule now at the moment. Of course, if you do want to keep up with the uploads and you like our content, please make sure to like, subscribe, and ding the notification bell so you don't miss out on any of our content. This is also the last deck profile before the release of EX5. EX5, rather excitingly, is coming out this week at the time of upload. So that'll be the Friday the 19th is the official release. So I decided, why not take the deck profiles back to their roots, and I would explore the first deck profile we did on the channel, in a sense, BlackWarGreymon. However, this is not BlackWarGreymon OTK, as we've seen previously on the channel. A link to that deck profile will be in the description below. This is more in line with what is, I think, probably, in my mind at least, the most meta-relevant version of any Greymon deck, and that is BlackWarGreymon X, the control variant. In this video, there will be no test hand at the end. There will, however, be a match with BlackWarGreymon X on Wednesday for you guys to have a look at. So make sure to have a look at there. Again, the link to that will be in the description. Just bear in mind at the time of upload, it will just take you to the premiere. It won't take you to the video just yet. But after Wednesday, the following Wednesday after this upload, it will take you to the actual match link there. But on to BlackWarGreymon X. So reason why we're not doing the test hands as well is I'm actually going to talk about the black base version and the red base version in this video. I am running the black base version at the moment because I wanted to do something a bit more different. But the red base version does obviously have its kind of strengths as well. And I'm actually thinking, after doing a tournament last night, of trying out the red base version actually, for some reasons that I'll kind of get into as we go forth. But of course, with all Digimon decks, we must first start with our eggs, and we've got 4 copies of the Garurumon from ST15. So this here is pretty good for BlackWarGreymon. We can read when we redirect, either through using our redirector, through blocking, or through raid, because we do have some raid capacity in this deck. You gain 1000 DP, which is pretty cool. You know, I think that's pretty useful to have available to you, and definitely means something. You know, when we're getting those DP boosts, especially when we're on the defensive, which this deck really, this is the black base version is very much the more defensive variant, and is certainly the kind of main one when it comes to the kind of making sure you've got enough stuff on hand to beat back any threats. However, if we're playing the red base version, most of the rookies can't digivolve on top of this Garurumon. So if we were playing the red base version, my recommendation would be either 4 copies of the BT14 Garurumon, so you can get that security draw, or 4 copies of the Garurumon from BT5 for that when attacking draw. You could also play the BT9 Garurumon. Apologies, I forgot to kind of get that one out, so I'll just flash that one up on screen briefly. It's all up to personal preference. I think I'd probably veer more towards one of these two with the red base version, with possibly. The only issue is that this is your turn, so a lot of your later effects might not trigger it when you're removing stuff. So, to be fair, I think probably the BT5 Garurumon probably is actually the better pick out of the two, if you're thinking of the red base version. But yeah, that is the eggs there. So, tell you what, we'll forget about this guy. Screw it, We'll put that up there as our red base egg. And this one here, obviously, let me know in the comments if you agree with me, if you think that BT5 is the better pick. I think there's a place for both, but we're all about kind of seeing what people are thinking. As I've said before in previous videos, I'm not the guru of deck profiles. My opinion is not absolute. You know, please let us know in the comments below what you think, if you agree or disagree. I'm almost more inclined to see the disagreements, because I'd love to see what kind of things you guys play differently. Right, on to the rookies. So, back to our black base version. The first 4 rookies are going to be 4 copies of the BT12 Ogremon, and because he's red, he will be going smack bang into that red base version as well. Strongest searcher for the Greymon archetype. Searches a Greymon or Omnimon and a Tamer with Tie in its name. Just a fantastic searcher. Barely ever whiffs, because you've got so many Greymons in names. And if your Tamers are all called Tie, then you're pretty much gaming whenever you need to. And again, like I say, because he's red and he digivolves for 0 off of any Coromon, he's perfect in the red base version as well. So 4 copies regardless of which colour you're going with. Next up, we've got 2 copies of the ST15 Ogumon. This is a really good one for when you're being defensive. It helps you gain a memory, especially if you're going second, because if they've already got a Digimon out, you can just move this out, immediately gain a memory from its start of main effect. Also allows you to gain a memory whenever an attack target is switched. And again, that is for that's all turns, so that is when you're blocking, redirecting, or raiding, all checks out. Reason I'm running him at 2 is because we are also running 2 copies of the Ogumon from BT14, and obviously he is red, but he can digivolve for 0 off of any Coromon. Reason why I've got him at 2, because you know this Ogumon is amazing. It's one of the best Ogumons there is. Just a flat out improvement on the old promo Ogumon that we used to have. That 2000 DP if you're a Greymon or an Omnimon. Coming in so importantly whenever you're on the offensive, and the fact that it can digivolve for free into a Greymon so long as you've got a Tie on the field is fantastic. The reason why there's only 2 copies of it in the black base version is because of the fact that the unfortunate nature of this Ogumon is in the black base version, it's not searchable at all. So we kind of want to make sure that we've got other things that we can search. So this Ogumon is searchable thanks to defense training. Spoilers, that's in the deck. Whereas this is not under any capacity. There's no card that searches this. In the red base version, though, I would absolutely go ahead and go 4 copies of the BT14 Ogumon instead of these ones, because of the fact it is searchable. So absolutely, you're going to go kind of... please do mind the fact that these are in different sleeves, guys. I'm actually nicking these from my Ogubond deck, which these are currently sat in at the moment. If you want to see a profile for that, let me know. But in the red base version, I would absolutely play 4 of these, but in the black base version, 2. So I'll put this up here as our little red base reminder. Then, in going back to the black base version again, the next card we've got is 4 copies of the BT11 Ogumon X. Now, this one is kind of the part of the reason why I decided I wanted to play the black base version. It has an incredibly good inheritable, which is if this Digimon has a Greymon or an Omnimon in its name, and it would be deleted or returned to the hand or the deck, by placing 1 X-antibody from this Digimon's Digivolution cards to the bottom of its owner's deck, you prevent that Digimon from leaving play. Really good. It's one of the effects that made the BT11 Greymon X so busted. And it has this protection effect, whereas the red Ogumon X does not. The only thing is that this is very awkward to use in the red base version. So hence, I've been playing the black base version recently. It's also got a great on-play. Reveal top 3 cards of your deck. Add 1 Greymon or X-antibody in its name, as well as any black Tamer, which is really cool. So that can add ties. It can add Yu-Yas if you wanted to, if you were running that. Any black Tamer in the game is absolutely fine. There was a world a few formats ago. I was looking at the BT9. I think it's Maki. Potentially as like a cool boy replacement because of a 3v3 format that me, Sam, and Charles were playing. Essentially we had a shared card pool. Only one of us could use Cool Boy, so I decided, okay, what if I tried this and we had Maki instead and I could search the Maki. I ended up not doing that, but these things can come up. So obviously bear that in mind, it can search any black Tamer, but really cool. The only things that are awkward about it is For starters, this play cost 4. It doesn't sound like it's a lot more than 3, you know, but it can make all the difference, because a lot of the time, especially because of your memory setters, if you've got a memory setter that's set you to 3 and then you hard play this, you're passing turn to do your search. Whereas if you're going into Agumon, or if you're playing the red base version and you're playing your 4 copies of BT9 Agumon X instead, that only costs 3. So, you know, there's a lot to think about when it comes to that. There's a bit more minutia when you're playing the black base version, I think. You know, absolutely, without a doubt, if you're playing the red base version, go for the BT9 one instead, I would say. It doesn't have the inheritable, but the searching effect is pretty much just as good. You know, real top 3, add 1 card of Greymon Omnimon and 1 X-antibody. You know, whereas Agumon X lets you add your Tamers, but obviously you've got to make a choice between X-antibody and the Greymons, and this is our only X-antibody searcher. We don't run Cool Boy in this deck anymore. He's kind of been relegated to elsewhere. For me, the only deck that really uses Cool Boy in terms of Greymon is Gaiomon now, just because your entire top line is X-antibody Digimon. You know, and again, let me know if you want to see a deck profile for that, guys. I'm more than happy to do Gaiomon. I love him. And definitely discuss him as like a tech option for this as well. But yeah, that's our rookie line for the black base version, as well as our kind of our red base version as well. So yeah, it's pretty cool. Like, you can play Greymon pretty much how you want. Like, I think there was someone who commented on one of our videos a couple of weeks ago, where you know, the issue becomes, you know, you've got so much to choose from that it becomes an issue. But you know, I think you've got ways to kind of play around things. Right, onto our champions now. So we've got 2 copies of the BT12 Greymon. Really good for the all turns inheritable. You gain 1,000 if you've got Greymon or Omnimon in its name. So obviously that's really good defensively and offensively. And then when Digivolving, if you don't have a Tamer with Tie in its name, you may play 1 Tamer with Tie in its name from your hand without paying the cost, which is fantastic. You know, it doesn't matter the play cost, just plays it out. Only reason this is at 2 copies is because that first Digivolving effect, unless you're going against decks which regularly delete Tamers, so for example, the BlackWarGreymon Mirror Match, that you're not going to really be using the when Digivolving effect more than once. So that's why I've only got it at 2 copies. Obviously, you can play this in the red version as well. You could also, if you were so inclined, in the red version, you could play the EX1 Greymon instead. Does a very similar job. It just does it when attacking, and it only does it with a play cost 3 tie, which is perfect because one of our ties is play cost of 3. So, you know, it's entirely up to you. I would say, because we're redirecting so much stuff, the 1000 DP inheritable matters quite a lot. So my preference when you're playing BlackWarGreymon X is this one. On to our next Greymon. We've got 4 copies of the ST15 Greymon. So I've got this at 4 copies pretty much because this is the best single color black Greymon champion there is. You could play the BT8 one, which I have thought about, the one that gives inheritable blocker. Obviously, we've got ways of giving blocker thanks to the ties. If you wanted more ways, I would recommend kind of maybe having a look at that and putting it in. But I really like this, and I think to get the maximum maximum effect of this card, you need to have it at 4 copies because of the fact it has a security effect. And that effect is you may play 1 Agumon or 1 Tamer with tie in its name from your hand or trash without paying the cost, which is really good. I mean, early game, if this can whiff, the earlier the game is, the more chances this will have to whiff, because you might not have any Agumons in hand, you might not have anything in the trash. Same with the ties as well. However, this comes in quite, I find quite clutch in terms of, like, if someone does your security and the first thing they checked was an Agumon, for example, and then they check this, and then you just play out that Agumon. You know, get a free search on their turn, you know, something like that. It does specifically have to be Agumon, not Agumon in name. So you can't play out Agumon X, for example, but your other Agumons are all absolutely game. You know, go for it. And then obviously your ties are absolutely fine as well. And that's obviously a really good part of that effect as well. It does inherently have blocker as well, so a nice defensive option. Then also it's got the inheritable when an attack target switch gain 1 memory, same thing as the Agumon, which is really good because if you can force them into attacking you, or if they're in a position where they want to try and go aggressive, you can redirect, gain memory, potentially swing turn, which is really cool. But obviously we can't play this one in the red base version really because it becomes a bit of you can search it with your Greymon searches, but it can become something to kind of whiff on when you're looking at the training cards, for example. So if you're playing the red base version, my thinking would be 4 copies of BT5 Greymon or 2 copies of BT5 Greymon and 2 copies of ST1 Greymon. So that's entirely up to preference. I think if you want extra aggression, you're going to want the Greymon from ST1 just because that's security attack +1 inheritable. If you want more speed in terms of building your stack, I would go with this one, the BT5 Greymon. Obviously, if you want a balance, go between the two. I wouldn't say go 4 copies of this. If anything, my preference would be 4 copies of this. But this is definitely an option for the red base version to be a bit more aggressive, which I did find in the tournament last night is a problem. I went to time twice last night and ended up tying games, which frankly was annoying because I'd managed to, after we'd done turn 0 through to turn 3, I'd managed to clear Charles's board and I'd managed to clear Alex's board in their respective matches, but because of Bandai's rulings, it was a draw, despite the fact they had nothing, no security, nothing in play. And if there had been one more turn, I would have been able to swing for game. But I'm not salty. You are. But that's a Bandai thing. So potentially that's something to look at. The red base version definitely feels the quicker of the two. Obviously, I'll know for sure once I get around to properly testing the red base version. So essentially, if I've not been clear enough, the black base version has been tested by me. The red base version has been tested, but a couple of formats ago, not for BT14 yet. So I will definitely be having a look at that. I think next time I go down to locals, I will be taking the red base version down to take a look at that. But that's what I would recommend. I think black base version, have these guys. Go 4 of this, I think, would be the preference, or go 2 and 2 for that one as well. Then our X-antibodies, which are exactly the same for the red base and the black base. And this is where things are going to start becoming very similar between the two decks now. We've got 3 copies of Greymon X. Now, in the black base version, I've seen a lot of people playing this at maybe 2 copies, sometimes even 1, from what I've seen around. I personally have not had any issues with it at 3, and there are times where I won't have it and it'll be detrimental. Obviously the training cards can't add this at all, but all of our searching rookies can. So I think you're still very much in a world where you can play this at 3. Obviously it's a safer bet in the red base version because your offense training can search it, but I've had no problems with this so far at 3. Where it's been like, oh, I've got a black Agumon and I can't go on top of it, because I've tended to run into one of these guys, go into that first, and then 0. So yeah, I would say 3 copies of this, irrespective of which color you're playing. Obviously, the inheritable is fantastic. If you would be deleted, return to the hand or return to the deck, you can remove 2 same level Digimon from your stack to survive that effect. Which is brilliant. Obviously very hard for people to get around. Then our last champion is, of course, 1 copy of the BT11 Greymon X. He's at 1 for a reason. He's completely busted. Reduces the Digivolution cost of your Greymons based on the amount of colours they've got. So if you've got a dual colour one, it reduces by 2. If you've got a single colour one, it reduces by 1. And then on top of that, it's got the same inheritable as the Agumon X to kind of return X-antibody to the bottom of the deck to survive a deletion. Fantastic card. Phenomenal card. If it ever comes back at 4, I would be both simultaneously happy and sad. Happy as a Greymon player, sad for the meta. But, you never know. We'll see. Right, on to our level 5s. First one is going to be 2 copies of MetalGarurumon from BT12. This has Raid. It does the all turns. When an attack target is switched, you may play a black or red Tamer. And with a play cost of 4 or less from your hand without paying the cost. And it also gives piercing as well. Obviously, that piercing effect does not come up as regularly in this because once we get to our top line, we're not really raiding. But it's that first effect that's really good. Especially because of how many DP boosts we've got, how many ways of boosting things up, and how many ways we've got to take advantage of that attack swing. This still comes up really well. We then also play 2 copies of BT8 MetalGarurumon. Now, back a couple of formats ago, although this card was really good, it was also kind of clunky because it's a 4 cost to go into. But now, with cards like Greymon X, and more importantly, the training cards, this usually only costs us 2 now. Especially also when you take into consideration the BT12 tie and you're gaining a memory. Like, it's so good. It's brilliant. Absolutely fantastic card. Digivolve one of your opponent's Digimon, then delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 3000 DP or less. So it's a really good kind of board clearer. Helps to kind of mitigate larger threats by de-digivolving them. Then also, it has the inheritable. While this Digimon has Dragonkin or Machine in its traits, which all of our top line do, it can attack your opponent's unsuspended Digimon. So it works really well as a kind of board clearer, especially when paired with one of our level 6s, because of the fact it can attack twice, essentially, after deleting one Digimon. But we'll get into that card in a minute. Other MetalGarurumon options you could have is the ST15 BlackWarGreymon. Can digivolve from any Greymon in name with for a cost of 3. Has blocker and gives security attack +1 as the inheritable. I might try this in the black base version. I'm not too sure what I'll take out. Probably 1 copy of the next card that's going to come up, just so we've got that security attack +1, because I did find in the tournament last night there were times where I just thought, I wish I had done more checks, but I didn't have that ability. So might be something to play at as a one-off. I wouldn't say any more than that, because ultimately this is a control deck and not an aggressive deck. But I think sometimes you will want that aggression. So bear this one in mind as a tech choice, but it's not currently got a place in the deck. Also with the red base and the black base, this is where we go. All of our stuff is the same going onward, because we are still, although we're playing like a more aggressive version here, and a more defensive version here. Once we get to our top line, it's still the same plan: control the board, and just really don't give your opponent any leeway. Don't let them have fun. This is not a friendly deck. Don't play this at casuals. You will get people who do not like you for playing this deck at casuals. Trust me, I know from experience. The guys don't let me know. Do let me know. But yeah, that's kind of the beginning of our top line there. Then level 5 continued. We've got 4 copies of the MetalGarurumon X from BT11. Really superb card in regards to what it does. It gives you DP reduction and de-digivolution protection when digivolving, and then if you've got a MetalGarurumon in the sources, you can then pop a 6k or less, which is really good as removal. Obviously does a fantastic job with those things. And then the most integral thing about the whole card is opponent's turn. When a Digimon becomes unsuspended, if this Digimon has Greymon or Omnimon in its name, trash the top card of your opponent's security stack. Trashing security is the single best way of getting rid of any security, because nothing triggers if it gets trashed. So like it came up yesterday, did the trash, and the opponent tried to, I believe it was Riley, he tried to activate his Satsuki, and it's like, hang on, it's been trashed, can't do that. And then it was like Ultimate Flare came up in security as well. Nope, trashed, can't do that. Really good card. Like I say, you could possibly take out 1 copy for 1 copy of the ST15 MetalGarurumon if you just want something in there to give a bit of extra kind of security attack. This being at 3 copies, I don't think would overall change the game plan that much. So definitely a personal preference thing. Also, if you're playing the red base version, have a think about playing MetalGarurumon from BT9. Security attack +1, gives 3000 DP if a MetalGarurumon is underneath it, or X-antibody. Really helps to speed things up again. To be fair, if you're playing the red base version, you could probably go, instead of even thinking about this guy, you could maybe go 3 and 1 of this, or even 3 and 2. Go 2 and 2, sorry. The choice is yours. So definitely going to leave that there as a potential option for the red base version, just to give that extra aggression when you need it most. But that is all of our level 5s. On to the level 6s, which will remain unchanged, apart from some potential tech choices if you wanted. But we've got 3 copies of the BT8 BlackWarGreymon. This is still an absolute menace to any decks that rely on Tamers. So when Digivolving, if it has a red Digimon in its sources, which, although we're playing the black base version, you always will, well, pretty much always will anyway, it can delete Digimon. And then if it's got black in the sources, it can delete Tamers, and it deletes them up to a play cost of 6. So a lot of Tamers cost 3, so you can pretty much guarantee you're going to delete 2 Tamers when you do that, or 1 lower kind of Digimon and a Tamer. You know, it's a really cool effect. Also, when it deletes a Digimon, all turns it unsuspends. So that doesn't matter if it's blocked something. That doesn't matter if it's attacked into something. It's gonna unsuspend, which helps with this. Triggers this if you're blocking. You know, and also is really cool with the aforementioned BT8 MetalGarurumon, because this allows this to then attack into your opponent's unsuspended Digimon, so they're not safe. You swing in, then they're deleted, you unsuspend, and then you can swing again into another Digimon or into security, whatever you like. Really cool card. Probably the best non-X-antibody version of BlackWarGreymon there is. You know, the BT2 and BT5 one are well and truly too slow for the format, and don't do enough in terms of the control. This is a brilliant card. Absolutely phenomenal. Then, to go along with him is probably the best BlackWarGreymon there is. You could toss it up with a tech choice, of course, as it is a BlackWarGreymon variant. But it is 3 copies of BlackWarGreymon X. This card, if he gets out, your opponent can just sit and pray. It doesn't, you know, it's so hard to remove. Once it's got this full stack and you've got all this protection underneath it, it has reboot, so it can block, it can redirect the Digimon with the highest DP. You know, also, if you've got BlackWarGreymon or X-antibody in the sources, when it does reboot, it deletes their Digimon with the lowest play cost. So if they have had a bit of a hard time kind of building up their momentum, you can just keep deleting whatever they've got out, and it will just keep them always at square one. You know, they'll just always kind of be on the back foot. And obviously, because of that reboot, it's the main kind of Digimon that takes advantage of the opponent's turn effect, inheritable from MetalGarurumon X. It's just amazing. Really phenomenal card. And has been since it came out in BT11. The tech choices you could play at this point in your top line as well, and again, this is the same for the black version or the red version, is you could play Gaiamon for that security attack +1. It's got the reboot, so it still triggers this. It's got D-Digivolve 1 and Blitz, so it's a really nice aggressive option. The only thing I would say is, because obviously it just has D-Digivolve. It feels weird just saying it just has D-Digivolve. Because it doesn't delete stuff, though, you know, your opponent could potentially recover against this. But again, because of that inherent security +1, this does speed things up. So that is a really good tech card to look at. And like I say, I want to make a Gaiamon deck with the BT14 stuff. I haven't gotten around to it yet, but I think I will be before BT15 comes around. So make sure to look out for that, and you know, let me know if you want to see a profile for it. Another tech choice as well, if you wanted to veer from kind of pure BlackWarGreymon like I'm doing and go more kind of Greymon toolbox, BT12 WarGreymon is the best WarGreymon card ever printed. And obviously in the black base version or the red base version, it works. Takes a lot of advantages from the cards that we've already got because of the raid. It can gain memory from the structure deck 15 stuff we've got. It can gain DP. It basically triggers the whole lot of stuff. So you could definitely play this as a tech. And if you did, I think if you were going to take either of these as techs, my thinking would probably be 1 copy of Gaiamon there, taking out a BlackWarGreymon X and leaving the rest the same. Or if you were going to go for the WarGreymon, is probably go this, and then 2 copies of this, I would say. That's what I did at Regionals back in the BT12 format. And that worked fairly well. But, you know, if it depends on what you want to do. Again, you know, as any Greymon players out there, you've got so many options to toy around with. Just do what you think is right. Right, the rest of the cards we've got to go through as well. So we've got our Tamers, 4 copies of BT12 tie, the best tie there is, 3 cost, on play, gives an Agumon or a Greymon 1000 DP and blocker, gives it to everything that we've got. Just a brilliant card. Absolutely fantastic. Also then gains a memory whenever you digivolve into a Greymon or Omnimon by suspending, so it makes things cheaper. It's an in-archetype cool boy that gives you blocker. What more can you want? Then for our other tamer, got 2 copies of the ST15 tie. Works really well. It's our memory setter. Also, when an attack target is switched, and that's all turns, so raiding, blocking, again, all of that triggers, you can give 2000 DP to one of your Digimon, and you get a draw as well, which really helps because Greymon's biggest issue is bricking. So by giving yourself more draw power, you can help mitigate that. So really good card. Then the rest of our cards, the options, actually on a different note, sorry, another couple of options as well. If you're playing the red base version, you could play this tie to give yourself the security attack +1. You could also play Yuya as well to give yourself more protection and some DP boosts. So kind of like an additional memory setter. I prefer having kind of the ties. But, again, play around with things and just see what works for you. Then option cards. We've got 3 copies of defense training. Obviously, if you're playing the red version, swap this out for offense training. I don't have it to hand, but because it's in one of my deck boxes. But I'll flash that up on screen just so you've got that as well, just in case you haven't seen that card. But, the training cards are a menace, so I'd be very surprised if no one's seen them yet. But defense training works really well. It helps us search all of our cards, and almost all of our cards are black. We've got 7 cards that are not. The 3 Greymon X's, the 2 Agumon, and then one of our option cards. Also helps to reduce Digivolution costs, because you can do the delay effect, get rid of this, and your next Digivolution costs 2 less, which is really good. And does stack with your Greymon X if you've got it out, because this is mandatory. So you do one of these, it reduces the next one by 2, then that reduces as well. So potentially your 4 cost guys that are red and black, can cost you nothing, which is great. We've then got 2 copies of X-antibody. We need this for some of our protection effects. It's great to do when we're on the offensive and we can digivolve into one of our Digimon, our X-antibody Digimon, with the when attacking effect of this. If it's in security, it can actually help pass turn, which did come up yesterday because it gains you a memory when you add it to hand. Great card. It'll be interesting to see if this version works better in Greymon than the proto form that's coming out in EX5. I'll pop that up on screen as well. I think in the more aggressive red version, especially if you're not playing BlackWarGreymon at all and you're playing WarGreymon, this will still be better. But the proto form could definitely be the way to go in the control variant. I'll have to test that out when we've got that to hand. But 2 copies of that. Then we've also got 2 copies of Hades Force. This is a phenomenal destroyer of everything. Destroys Tamers and Digimon up to the play cost of one of your Greymon. So if you've got BlackWarGreymon X, you're deleting up to 13 play cost stuff. And then one of your Digimon with Greymon in its name may attack, which is just really, really cool. Fantastic card. Then also, because we're playing the black base version, 1 copy of Trident Arm. Digivolves 3 and then puts the effect of start of main, this Digimon attacks to one of your opponent's Digimon. So basically you can do this on a level 6, reduce it right the way down to its rookie form, and then make it attack. Then do all your attack change, target change shenanigans and stuff like that. If you're playing the red base version, because of the way the current meta is going, especially with the EX5 stuff on the horizon, I would probably take out 1 copy of this and the Trident Arm, and play 2 copies of Crimson Blaze. Again, I'll pop it up on screen just because I haven't got it to hand. It's in one of my deck boxes somewhere. I would definitely recommend doing that. Really good pick for the red base version. Also, if you're playing the red base version, or you could get away with it in this version as well. If you wanted the way to swing for game, maybe try an Omnimon in there as well. Again, this is a control variant, so blitzing for game isn't usually on the cards, but could be an option there. But yeah, I hope you guys like this deck profile. It is our last one before EX5, so let us know if we've got any certain EX5 decks you guys want to see. I did put out a poll last week to see if you guys would vote. At the time of recording, that poll has only just come out, so I have no idea if anyone's voted on it. By the time this video is uploaded, if no one's voted, I'll be sad. But let me know what you guys think of this deck. Does it need a bit more aggression, do you think? Do you like the control aspect of it? I think it's a very strong deck. The issue with it is that it kind of, if you're playing a full match, you have to 2-0. You can't 2-1 at the moment, just because of the time constraints and everything. But that could be up to me as well. Maybe playing a bit too cautiously. We'll see. But yeah, let us know how things go. Obviously, look out for Wednesday for the match between this and MetalGarurumon X that's coming out on the Wednesday. And yeah, until next time, guys, keep it digital.